Hey, it's Arsenine and welcome back to the channel. We're back at it with Worldbox again today. Since there's nothing better to do than be the vindictive god I know I can be, and with the new updates to the game, this sounds like my kind of fun. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the game, the premise boils down to doing whatever you want to the people, creatures, and environment however you want it.
Care for a demonstration?
So right here we have a nice active volcano spewing lava, basically foaming at the mouth for something to ruin. Let's now pair this with one of my all-time favorite things, the lightning bolt. You click on the active volcano once, a single bolt of lightning strikes it, spewing both fire and destruction in its wake. But if you know me, one bolt of lightning is not enough lah. Now, if you shift-click the ground, you send multiple bolts of lightning repeatedly at the target location. I hope you see where I'm going with this. There we are. A world fully caked in lava, and all I had to do was repeatedly strike the volcano with lightning. Come to think of it, doesn't this look like a giant extra cheesy pizza? And as much as I would like to take a bite out of this incredible work of food, that's not what the title of this video is. So it's time for a new world, and we have many options like Dormant Volcano, Chaos Pearl, Bad Apple, or Empty, but there was one that caught my eye, Cubicle, built for an evil overlord. Shoot man, this one's speaking my language. We'll make the map a little smaller so people get to move around the map much quicker, and more importantly, so I don't have to zoom out as much and stay closer to the action. Okay lah, let's go. I'm gonna do what I've done in the last one, which is to add yes, there they are. They're called sapiens now. All I know last time was that if you put the same number of people of all the sapien types together, the orcs will come out on top and humans can't do much other than beating people with rakes and hoes, I guess. So to make it as balanced as possible, I'll put more humans, a decent number of elves and dwarves, and finally just a couple of orcs to balance the entire area. Obviously, humans will be the majority here, mainly because they're so useless. Let's get them to start building real quick, okay? Now that the kingdom is all done and ready, let's give them some obstacles to deal with. I'm sure Mr. Bear here would love to say hi to some people. I'm just gonna spam some random bears on each of the corners, or each of the specific cubicles rather, and let's just see what the bears do with their lives, whether they go and hunt people or whatever is beyond me. Let's see which race can take advantage of the chaos and resources at their disposal. Now, while all those new kingdoms and villages are being set up, as you can see on the top left hand corner, I actually noticed something that was pretty interesting in the new update. It's called Cloud of Life. It says that it summons a cloud that scatters seeds of life across the land. So I'm just gonna spam a bunch of clouds here across the entire map. There we go. Whoops, I guess I ran out of clouds. Wait, let me check that out first. Yeah, I ran out of clouds. I tried to add some rain clouds at the bottom, but it seems like they don't want to add any more for me. Well, that's fine. It looks like dwarves are getting shafted. It's okay. I think they can deal with it. I'm pretty sure Cloud of Life doesn't add inches to their height anyways. Let's continue onwards. Did that change anything? I guess this thing needs a buff. I don't see anything actually working, unless that is supposed to restore vegetation or something. Whoa, okay, looks like the orcs aren't doing so well. Why though? Did it get nerfed or something? It seems like the humans have also been buffed with the ability to throw fire. That used to be bandit exclusive, unless I'm tripping real hard somewhere. But I guess some races just got buffed. You know, out of context that would sound racist as hell, but thank god this is just a game. Well, this was like a trial to see which race survived, but off the top of my head, elves won't be losing. The bears seem to completely ignore them. They even sleep right next to the elves. Like, what is this shit? At this rate, the elves can just advance to like, what, high society and everything, while everything just dies to the bears. Obviously, I didn't read any patch notes or anything, because that would kill any immersion, but the entire bonding with wildlife stuff seems particularly overpowered in this setting. Or rather, is that supposed to reflect their depiction in modern fantasy and anime or something? From what I recount, elves are basically nature lovers, so they can cope well with the surroundings and nature and all that jazz. But if that is the case, then those same depictions would just make orcs just violent brutes, which are overpowered, but not in this case, and make dwarves good at making weapons, and humans just being the race to eventually war for the sake of conquest. Oh yeah, don't quote me on that one, I'm just trying to make an observation. Well, I think there isn't much to be said for this round. The elves basically are advancing onwards while the other races are just getting royally pounded. Let me just restock the sapiens and meat for the other races, except the elves, and hopefully it would just be enough. I don't really think much is happening. The orcs still just get royally pounded by all the bears. The dwarves seem to have a tough time chasing around the bears as well. I don't know why they're moving back and forth, but the humans seem to be doing fine. I think that buff to allow them to throw fire is actually pretty advantageous. Stick and fire. When have problem, fire. Man have fire.
Well, I guess that's that then.
No matter what I try to do, even going so far as to rain blood and heal the Sapiens, nothing can stop the elves who just do not engage in any fights whatsoever. Also, the blood rain seems to scare people a lot. Well, then again, if I see the heavens open up to rain blood that magically restores all my wounds, I would also be freaking out a lot lah. Still, that's too much healing, not enough killing, so it's time to switch gears. Now, we have many new options in our arsenal of destruction, but I'm going to go with good old-fashioned grey goo, and I'll start by filling each section, or rather each corner, with some goo. Ooh, that's not a good spot to be spending your day sleeping, little lady. Well, if you want to sleep, go ahead. You just won't be waking up anymore after this long. Alright, grey goo, spread! Spread until the cheeks all open up, the devil go and play inside here. I have to say, the speed and lethality of this goo is just downright amazing. I think it's a couple of months because I'm playing sped up anyways, but all of this land is just gone. What? Color me surprised, man. I don't believe it. We actually got survivors, and no, I'm not talking about crabs for some ever reason, but real flesh and blood sapiens. Man, I could go for some chili crab. But anyways, as amazing as that is, this isn't Survival Island. I'm going to ignore that there were ever any survivors. There we go, I didn't exactly save them. But then again, I didn't know which race actually won. If you want to say which one, I'm pretty sure it was elves that didn't even engage in combat for the most part. That wasn't a fair assessment anyways. But the good thing in all of that is that I now have an empty existing world. That's also pretty small, which is pretty good since I don't have to create a new one from scratch.
I got a plan. This is a good one.
Oh hey, I'm glad you stuck around. So I added 4 small islands, or rather small land masses, at the 4 corners of the map, and I just populated them accordingly. And the orcs have probably the worst terrain there as corrupted seeds. I'm not too sure what that would do, and just because I'm not an absolute menace, I'm just gonna give them some livestock of meat in the form of cows. And yeah, I'm done. Mainly, I want to wait for about 20 years. That's actually the main plan. Like now it's like the 18th year, so I'm gonna wait until the 38th year. I'm pretty sure 20 years is enough society, or rather the kingdoms and the village, to advance as a whole. Oh, okay, looks like the orcs have not such a good time again. I think they seriously did nerf the orcs because they seem to be fighting some kind of undead looking skeleton thing. Again, I think that's probably because I did give them the very short end of the stick, giving them the corrupted seeds. Anyways, now that that island is essentially just the land of the dead, so to speak, I'm just gonna leave them be for now. I still have a couple of years, and like I said before, I'm gonna wait for 20 full years to see how societies in the 3 remaining islands advance as a whole. I'm not too sure what the skeletons will do. I'm not thinking that they're gonna advance society in any way, shape or form, so we shall just see. Okay, so I'm gonna cut in right now real quick. Mainly what I want to cut in for is the fact that each of their mini islands have developed their own ship, so I'm not too certain what the ship is going to do, but it seems like they just dock and trade things between islands. So I assume this is some kind of trade or whatever have you that's happening between islands. But I noticed something weird during my entire monitoring of this entire 20-year period, which is not even up yet, mind you. Something noticeably weird, noticeably wrong, that is. So if we go to the human island right now, we can see some people that are pretty happy. They have their own goals in life. Some of them are like they want a flamingo or something. Some of them want to find love, and yet others just have evil thoughts. Whether this evil thought is like, you know, global conquest or just war, it's not insignificant since I noticed that there are a lot of people who share this thought. Anyways, as you can see, this is an example of the boat that just goes by, and eventually it will go back to the Elven land, so I have no idea what it's going to do. But if I have to say anything, it's probably because all these evil thoughts, or the thoughts of conquest or whatever you want to call it, were basically started from, you know, whoever started to engage in trade, because other individuals will eventually know that you have something I want, why do I have to pay or work for it? I can just take it from you. So I'm pretty sure that's probably the logic that goes on to that. Let's test that logic for a little construction project, shall we? Okay, finished Liao. If you can see, the dwarves have the shortest path, the elves have the second shortest path but covered with hills, and the humans have the longest path. I also totally did not destroy any of their ports by accident. Let's just ignore that for now. Mainly, I've connected all the roads here to ensure that they are actually directed towards the main center point, which is over here, and that choke point will basically be where all of these different races will get to express the truth of their inner nature. Whether they will attack the skeletons first because they are default hostile, or whether they will attack each other first is beyond me. Anyways, that's what this new simulation is for. I used the summit to coat the entire outer area of the path. That way it is impossible to scale since there is no elevation, it's just suddenly a summit, essentially locking them, well, landlocking them so that they only can move forward and no other way. Okay, it's after the races, and looks like the undeads are actually moving on top of the elves. That's kind of surprising, honestly, because I didn't expect them to move so far out of their territory. Oh, as you can see, also all the summits that I used to block actually are now covered with snow. That's great. Ooh, the elves have engaged. Let's go. Well, there goes the undead. And now we are following the elf. That's great. But it seems the elves aren't really wandering too far out of their territory, and as you notice, the hill does impede their movement speed. Oh, and a random village in the middle of nowhere, dwarven origin of course, on human territory. That's an alliance. Wait a second. And unfortunately, I cannot really check the world history, so I am not too sure how that really works. But we shall see in due time who fights who. That will probably tell me who's the enemy and who's the ally in this situation, so let's just wait and see. Okay, the humans are coming in massive droves and they seem to be fighting all the people here. I do see some elves and they're just gone, and some dwarves are fighting. So I'm pretty sure the dwarves and the elves are allies. I sure hope so, at least, because the dwarves are losing horribly. The humans are slowly pushing up. It's been only about a year since what happened last, and they are actually advancing on the dwarven territory, or at least up the dwarf path. And I have to clarify that the dwarf path is much shorter than the human path, so the humans actually have a tougher time to reinforce, but the dwarves aren't doing anything. Like, look at this, their flag bearer just goes in and they just die. It's like, hey, let me come to support you. Oh no, oh! And that's kind of it, they just die. And as you can see, the skeletons aren't really doing much. They seem to just keep to themselves, which is again why I found the starting pretty surprising that they actually left their own territory.
Oh no!
Negotiations seem to have broken down.
I must agree. It seems like the dwarves have been completely and utterly wasted, or rather just utterly pounded to the ground. So they have nothing left to fight for, and I'm pretty sure they're just gonna let the elves, their former allies, fend for themselves. After all, this entire human meatball that is on the way, I'm pretty sure they are not going home, and they are gonna just take this entire detour to utterly eviscerate the elves. After all, what's one more stop before they reach home, right? We interrupt this regularly scheduled human invasion to bring you this entirely beast of a cow, Moomoid. He's actually huge compared to all the other cows. If you can see, he's just huge. He is built different. He is him. Although, missed opportunity to call him Moodang, or is it Mooteng? While I would say feast your eyes on this absolute machine of a cow, the rest of the humans have more or less made their way across the hill, and they are clearing the area rather fast. I'm pretty sure the Elven Society will collapse in total anarchy within a couple of minutes. Also, look at this lady, 65 years old with 9 health, and she's leading the charge into Elven territory. Who say women can't fight, right? But in any case, I don't know if she's gonna live that much longer. If age doesn't do her in, I'm pretty sure one hit from an archer will. As you can see, the impending army will just crush the entire Elven Society. We know how this is gonna end, so let me just fast forward a little bit. Of course, it comes as no surprise that the humans definitely won that last round, and you can see them retreating from the Elven lands. Although I'm quite surprised that they did not just do the elves in, since they literally have 11 people left. But then again, you'd be killing
not just the men, but the women and the children too.
So I'm pretty sure they don't want that on their conscience, and that's why they're going home. But of course, I'm not gonna have that, so I'm just gonna Divine Magnet all of them, and I'm gonna make sure I scoop through the entire piece of land so no one is overlooked. And I'm gonna throw them directly into the corrupted seeds. Aw, look at them. They're all confused. But you're fine. So I'm just gonna heal you guys up so you have absolutely nothing to complain about, so you can get ready for war for the final time. Assuming you survive this, I'll crown you the winner and that will be that. But if you don't survive, then another challenge awaits. Alright, that's the final battle. Let's go. I don't really know what's actually happening, and it's actually been quite a fair bit of time, to be honest. I actually planted a bunch of grey goo at all 3 parts of their main kingdom, and the grey goo completely ate everything, and I had to use Deep Ocean to stop it from spreading. Because if you look out here, and I'm gonna zoom out now in a real second, you're gonna see that the grey goo has just destroyed the rest of the entire kingdoms already. With no end in sight, you know, considering this is an undead corrupted seed, I think I'm gonna pull the plug on this a little early. I also noticed that technically all the undead are dead because they get spawn camped. You see the humans disperse, and when a new undead spawns, they just dive right in and, you know, spawn camp it. Oh look, one guy actually wants to be Divine Magnet out of here. Well, I will fulfill your wish, human. Although it's gonna cost you something in exchange though. So from magnetizing you out of harm's way and making you a little dizzy, I'll give you a front row seat to apocalypse. So stay tuned and watch close. Did you like that? You could only see it once though. After all, the end of the world can only be witnessed once by anyone. Anyways, that was probably a definitive test that the humans survived, mainly because I'm pretty sure the largest population of individuals would have survived anyways. So let me do a little bit of extra work and I will meet you guys back here in a little second. So for one last time, I'm gonna add a bunch of humans, elves, dwarves, and of course orcs lah. So we will now see how they will deal with everything when they're now on the same island. So humans are clearly winning and a lot of the other villages have been destroyed, but I'm gonna try and rapidly heal them because it takes a lot of humans to take down one of the other races. So I'm gonna rapidly heal them now with Blood Rain and we shall see how long we can prolong this entire fight.
Let me go. Let me die!
Okay, fine, I'll let you die. Let me just stop raining blood because the second I stop doing that, you cannot get healed. And if you can't get healed, I'm pretty sure you will die, right? Let me speed it up real quick. Alright, humanity won. That's pretty easy. And we know what we should do. Since they have proven to be the strongest of all the races, it's time for them to run a race. That's what I normally would say, but I have a different idea this time, so I have to Divine Magnet them first because I'm just gonna clear the map and start again. So I noticed this thing called Clone Rain, and when I click it down, it spawns a lot of clones of the existing population. So instead of having something grand like the Clone Wars or something like that, we're actually gonna have something a little bit more fun. We should see which version of them actually succeeds at getting to the land. And while I could definitely leave this as an ocean, I'm gonna turn it into a closed ocean or shallow waters rather. That way, when I unpause the game like right now, which, you know, frames, basically they'll try to build a kingdom before the shallow waters, and this is not freeze frame mind you, rush in and essentially drown out their kingdom. This also gives them some temporary stamina in this situation, so it's not like I'm forcing them to swim the second they've been dropped into the deep end, right? So now that all the land is lost, let's just see how long it will take for them to survive lah. I'm gonna add a single pixel of sand, so let me think of a good place to put this. Here lah, I think this is good enough. So whichever human or clone manage to stand on this piece of sand first will actually win. They need to stay on it lah. Hopefully they can just cross it lah or whatever, because I want to actually see there are so many of them and they are starting to get exhausted from drowning and all that. Wow, look at that. You see, they can actually walk over, but they don't actually stand on the sand. Let me just expand it by 3 more tiles, so that's like 4 tiles. Totally enough reason for them to stand on it. Why are they just avoiding the sand and they're all just dying here? Are they Anakin Skywalker or something? Well, I spoke too soon. Looks like all of them are gone. Then again, I guess they did kind of cross the threshold, like standing on the sand for a bit. So I guess they won in the end lah. And thank you guys so much for watching to the end, and hopefully you enjoyed me destroying this entire new world again for a second time, and I'll see you in the next one.